I'd like to remind you all, first, thank you very much for coming and attending. But on a somber note, about 20 minutes ago, there was an active shooter at Richmond High School in Virginia, just about 20 minutes ago at a graduation ceremony. These aren't going away. They're not getting any better. And we have to come up with solutions. The only solutions we can come up with are bring as many people together as possible from 1 to 10,000. The smallest audience I've ever spoke to was 4 Girl Scouts from Brownie Troop, and the largest I ever spoke to was 3,800 people at the American Airlines Center. I travel around and do this as a passion. It's going to bleed through. You're going to see that. We talk about all the victims with the utmost respect, and the reason we're here is to pay tribute to them so they don't die in vain, and that we can make their memory last by solving this epidemic, like Charlie said. Now, Chuck in the back and I were invited to the Department of Justice last year to make a new video and come up with something more beyond run, hide, fight. So I just want to tell you that normally we open these with something called stretched imagination. And we're going to do that in a minute. But I want you to take a minute and think about Richmond, Virginia, right now, 25 minutes. The police that are responding, the officers that are responding, the parents that are getting whatever call they're about to get, and the nightmare scenario that's unraveling. And you being here tonight shows your dedication. But what's going to be more important is you tomorrow evangelizing this message beyond, ×2. Now, what I tell people during these presentations, because some of them are entertaining, they're motivational speeches, so I don't have to go home and shave and cry because I think about dead people all day long. So we turn them into something else. This is going to be a hybrid. But what I want you to think about when you watch this is we say never hear. And I mean it. If you ever search hashtag never hear, on LinkedIn I have 800 million followers, right? Hashtag never hear. On Twitter I have 14. I don't know why. I'm not a social media person. I don't care. But without your help, we won't reach the other people that need to, number 15, 16, 17, Richmond, etc. So here's a little 30-second clip that the DOJ put together, and they show daily to remind themselves as they go to work what this is all about.
Far too often, we see at the end of these incidents the tragic hashtags, reminders, prayers, thoughts. We see the word strong. We usually see hashtag strong. So we got to think one day, what could we use to really remember? We don't want to be strong. We want to be strong before the event. But if we could prevent these events, then we can keep them from ever happening and arrive at every year we spoke about.
All those things you remember, you'll remember as they catch through your brain, and you'll see little memories through some of my presentations, through some of my slides. But before we start, I'll tell you that little thing that we happened in the world in 2020 that locked us all down. And right when we came back out of it, and we were coming in 2021, we started having active shooters, immediately. And I'm going to ask you all if you can remind me or help me understand the first active shooter of 2021. How about the second or the third? They happened within January, February, March. The Asian spa shootings in Atlanta, Georgia. And then we all remember, oh, of course, I was here when that happened. Or next, the FedEx shooting in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we say, oh, of course. Or the King Soopers in Boulder, Colorado. Oh, of course, the nine people shopping for groceries and the 1 police officer. So when you start humanizing this problem, we start understanding that we have to find solutions that don't encompass sitting down, listening to presentations and say, well, one day if. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I appreciate as much feedback as possible. We're acquainted here tonight, please. There's something called virtual reality, and there's something called augmented reality. Who can help me with virtual reality, please? I'll give you a quick gift. Virtual reality, anybody? Come on, somebody wants to say it. Michael, how about you? Can you help me? What's virtual reality? Virtual reality is something that we can, you're right, virtual reality, for the front part. Virtual reality is something that we can imagine, and we put in a little headset, and we can virtually see what we want to do, whether it's training, lessons, sitting through presentations like this, running for office, and you practice talking to constituents, selling your product as you learn how to install, and you do it virtually so you don't need to spend the money by traveling. Now, augmented reality, something completely different. In fact, it's so different, we don't know what it is yet. We're 20 years behind on augmented reality if you were to call Mark Zuckerberg at Meta today. They don't know how to do it because we can't imagine what tomorrow looks like. We can't imagine what augmented reality is. We only can understand what we understand. Now, this is important because these people that do these evil deeds, okay, they're human, but they're walking evil. And they can imagine something you and I can't imagine. And how? And I'm going to give you an example briefly. Many people don't like these parts of these exercises, but I'm going to ask you to do it anyways. If you would take 20 seconds with me, less than, close your eyes. I want you to imagine your own animal. It's an animal that does not exist. It's in the augmented space. Your animal is going to have a name. Your animal is all about you. We all have our animal? All right. I do this in front of, like I said, 20 people, 3,000 people, doesn't matter. It's all the same. How many people in here, go ahead and open your eyes. I have my animal, you have yours. How many people in here had an animal that has 2 or 4 legs? Raise your hand. Okay, you can put them down. How about a tongue, eyes, ears, or a nose? Does it fly, slither, run, or crawl? Okay, did I miss anybody? Live in a fish tank, swim around in the ocean. I think we have everybody now, everyone. Well, I'm here to tell you my augmented reality, this is my animal. I sleep with it every night. It sleeps with me. I've named it. I pet it. I feed it. It takes batteries. It does all these neat things that I have it do back. I tell it fetch. It fetches. It'll tell you what else it does. Now, how crazy is that we're talking about a remote control being in an animal? That is what's different about augmented reality. And if we can't wrap our minds around there's other solutions to these problems, we're going to be stuck in the same cycle. And when I get through the next 4 slides, you should be not sick, but determined that we're not going to have a 5th slide. Because the 5th slide will be 2024. Okay? It's bad enough in 2023. My name's Chris Grollnek. I am the nation's leading active shooter expert. It's because of prevention. In 2020, I found myself in the utmost ridiculous space in the middle of an active shooter. I had flip-flops on, shorts, a tank top, and they were cut-off shorts, a tank top, and as I said, flip-flops. And we got the call, active shooter. It was the weirdest day of my life. Now, I'm in the Marine Corps. I've been under fire before. Insane. I've been in an officer-involved shooting before. Different, just different. I've been on a SWAT team where somebody started shooting at my team leader. Another crazy day. But nothing prepared me for this day. Nothing. That the call came to evil visited me on their time frame. No one asked me. No one told me to dispatch me to that call. What do police do when they go somewhere? They get a radio call and they do what? They respond. Who said that? Respond. Thank you so much. You know what? We're going to pass one of these out because I said we're giving one away. We're giving one away. All right, right on. Thank you so much. All right. Police respond. Police go from here to there, and they solve the world's problems. 25 years of your problems in 5-minute increments. And then we move on to another call. Now I'm a retired police officer, former Marine, sure, but I travel around doing this and nothing else right now. So all that experience is out the window, but I talk to police officers every day, and I tell them the same things I'm telling you. We have to reimagine tomorrow, or we're going to be back in this room 1 year from now, and right before I go on, someone's going to tell me, oh, there's an active shooter in progress. And don't think we're not expecting more. I just want to welcome you to this place right here that should no longer exist. Welcome to It'll Never Happen Here, USA. And people say, well, this is an American problem. I changed this slide today and took out 18 countries that had mass shootings. All of them had gun laws. All of them, like us, we have some good gun laws, and I'm the wrong person to ask about guns. No guns, yes guns, doesn't matter. We have a different problem. We have a societal problem, and we have a fixing problem, and we can fix this. We just need to know that the police have a standard. It's called alert. And if you think the police are coming to save you, they are, eventually. But they're not coming right now. Should the unthinkable happen right now, they're not coming. Now, they have a standard on what to do when they get here. The Department of Justice funds them at the tune of about $100 million. And they go across the world and the country, and they teach this standard called ALERT, where police, when you get on scene, now listen to the key word, when you get on scene, you're going to run through the door. We're going to have you do a hostage rescue. So now they're in a foot pursuit. They're doing a hostage rescue. Oh, I hope I don't shoot the wrong person. And we want them to be an incident commander. Think about those 3 shootings I talked about at the Asian Spa Center, FedEx, or King Soopers. How many of those went perfect? None. They all went terrible. In fact, the last one, a police officer died following this standard. So we talk about the public. Well, the public surely has a standard. My family goes to school. I have one daughter. Well, she's 26 now, but pretend, right? We're in my alternate reality right now, virtual reality or augmented. There's no public standard. How is this possible? There's no universal standard. Collectively, we have to change. It says we can. You know what? Forget it. Wrong. We must. We can, we must, and we will change this. Before I drop dead, this is going to be the last thing I hear is the public has a standard, because you are your own first responder. Until help comes, you're your own best bet. That's it. I want to draw your attention to the screen for a minute. You tell me what your children at home right now, and listen, this is about the we's, not the me's. But for this conversation, it's going to be about the me's. We're going to pretend I have a family of 30 kids. My family goes to 30 different schools, and this is what my family has to learn. It's not done. There's 18 more. I just couldn't figure out how to put them on the slide. Can you believe that? And we all say, wow, I might be able to remember 2. What about when stress comes in and you can't remember your name? We expect our children to remember these. I would implore you to go to the Medical Center of Balboa Naval Hospital website and read about the shooting that didn't happen in 2016. And they enacted all of these principles for like 8.5 hours. There's no one, we have to do better. It's been 24 years. We talked about that. In 24 years, let's see how good we've done as a police responsive agency. What's the first active shooter that we think of when we think of active shooters 24 years ago? Go. Columbine. Who said that? Columbine. Another coin's going up. Columbine took 45 minutes for the police to get in. Virginia Tech took 4 hours and 45 minutes. Now this is 1999, now it's 2007, and we've changed protocols. Virginia Tech was so odd, they actually called it. They said, okay, it's over, kids go back to school, we're going to investigate this horrible thing, and then what happens right after that? The kid goes back to his room, reloads, and goes to create the worst mass murder in a classroom right after that, in one room. Parkland, 9 minutes. Too long. Officer on scene from 0. Finally, Uvalde. Don't want to get too far into it. I will cry in front of you. 1 hour and 17 minutes. What direction is that? It's backwards. We've invested money, time, resources, training, a standard for police. Is that working? We can say no, it's not, right? East and West. Everybody usually shakes their head like this, but it's not. Because we're losing too many people, especially children. Most precious cargo. K through 12, all sorts of safety standards. People in schools with guns, people with locks, drop-pin deadbolts, new fire alarm signs. Since 2000, we had what? 3 shootings in 2000. We're at 50 in 2022. Well, Chris, you just said we're going backwards. That's less than 2021 of 61, and you'd be accurate. But when I tell you the facts, they're getting more lethal. More people were killed in those 50 than were in the 61. If we keep repeating history, these slides are going to keep going the wrong direction. Now, this is me in school in the 70s, right? I don't look that old, I am. And what were we doing in schools in the 50s, 60s, and 70s? What was this called? Duck and cover. You're right, duck and cover. And what were we hiding from? Come on, the Russians. They're going to shoot missiles at us. The ceiling tiles are going to fall on our heads, and we're going to have bandages wrapped around our heads, and we're going to have amnesia. Why do I show you this? Because it's half joking, half lighthearted. But if you can have my teacher talk to me about nuclear policy in the 1970s, I think we can do better than this. Merry Christmas. How long ago was that? How long ago? You're absolutely right, 90 days ago. So let me tell you, we're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, and I know what the definition of that is, and I know you do too. I won't insult your intelligence. We have to do better. We have to do something different. This story is so close to home, it's hard for me to tell, but I'm going to tell it quickly. A middle school child in my family, the mother came and said, Chris, can you talk to about active shooters? I'm like, of course. So we go out, we're sitting down, and they look at me and they say, I'm really worried about active shooters. 12, 13 years old, doesn't matter. And I looked, and what do you think? Being a professional, what do you think I said the first thing? Let's take a wild guess, a scientific wild guess. That'll never happen here, don't worry. I'm the guy that just told you, don't believe that. Right? We don't want to be scared, we want to be prepared. But I found myself saying what I want to believe. It'll never happen here. This person looks at me at 13 years old in 8th grade and says, Chris, you have nothing to worry about. We have a plan at school. Whew, that was close. I thought I was going to have to talk to you about active shooters for a moment. No, it's good. We just run to homeroom class. The homeroom teacher has a box and has a whole bunch of scissors. We take them out of the box and we stab the shooter until they stop shooting. Problem solved. That is a real story that happened a year ago. A real story. Funny, yes. Right? No, we're teaching homicide. What's the third, fourth order of events from there if you're a representative? We're going to have active scissor attacks. Police response, 72.2% chance you're going to be alone on your own with no one coming to help you. 72.2%. That means for the duration of the event. How long does an event last? 0 to 8 minutes. Now, this is called the gift of time for a reason, because you can't buy time, but I found a way that we can deliver time, and we can do so much better than that. And this is not a sales pitch. This isn't about a product. This is about a whole solution. Is it painful? Yes. Is it going to work? Yes. We have benchmarked this again. I mean, I'll tell you, having your feelings hurt as a grown man, I said, oh my gosh, I found this great program. Do you think it works? And then, yeah, it works great. I just defeated it in 3 seconds. I'm like, okay, I'll come back, right? And then, you come back the next day. Okay, I fixed it. Now it worked like 7 minutes. Well, now we've got it working, just running smooth. An active shooter event happens from 0 to 8 minutes. The police do not show up for 8 minutes. Who's the first responder? You all. Worse, your families, my family, our friends, our neighbors, our fellow worshipers in houses of worship, schools, grocery stores, shopping malls. This is everywhere. This isn't like pick and choose. When you call for help, the Secret Service says it takes 1 minute, and that is absolutely correct. But what's wrong with that 1 minute? Anyone who's been in combat in this room knows everything goes wrong in your brain in the first 1 minute. You got to talk yourself into the 1 minute, and that takes how long? What's that number say? 4 minutes, right? It takes me 4 minutes to realize that I'm in a high-rise building, downtown D.C., on the 40th floor, and it wasn't a 74 Pontiac backfiring, because we hear, oh, it's a backfire. Not in an office building. Oh, what's the other one? Fireworks. Really? I'm in the, Kroger on aisle 3. Actual time to call police is 5 minutes. If we can get rid of that 5 minutes and say, help me, I'm getting shot at, I'm in the tall building with the lights on, because that's what you're going to say. Who remembers Mandalay Bay in Vegas? Over an hour for the police to even find the shooter when they knew where he was. All you had to do is look up, and there he is. But how do you find him? By sight, by sound, by visual, by smell, etc. We can do much better than that. Karl von Clausewitz is a famous Prussian author. He wrote on war, and he's got a great saying about everything in war is simple, but the simplest thing is difficult. Imagine your family with no training. Imagine me. my family, our collective family of whatever, people. Everything is now difficult. We have to automate the solution. Here's your gift of time. Artificial intelligence is a gift. It's a gift that we need to exploit. There are two types of things that we want to start doing. We need to start seeing guns before the guns do bad things, and we need to start listening to the guns once the report is made. Now, what if those things happen quickly, slowly, or other? Why would you rely on me not coming as a policeman, first of all, because I can't get there? I've got the Batman utility belt. I'm in the cockpit. I'm on my way, but I can't teleport yet. So I need to count on you to tell me where you are. We can do gun and gunshot, notification, police and people, little training, a lot of easy installation, which doesn't take that much, but it automates the response. It's AI powered. It takes human verification that you're going to see in a video in a minute, and it uses your existing cameras. But it's pre-event notification. Somebody's out of their car, they're walking down the hall with a gun right now. What do? You get an alert and says, wow, that's not good, and you press it. Okay, that's the first part. Now what? When seconds count, this is a little bit disturbing. It's not going to give you nightmares. It's just a factual audio recording that's on YouTube right now. Aurora, Colorado. Remember that shooting? What movie was playing? I gave you the hint. Batman, right? And the Joker came out and decided he was going to start shooting. And if you look at those little laser marks right there, that's everywhere he shot. What are you going to do when you're in there? And the police say, what can I do for you? 911, what's your emergency? It's a little too late to figure out where you are in the third row, section F, seat 4. I can't remember when I get up for popcorn. So imagine somebody shooting now, and you have to get there. You have to have some type of technology that can assign a signature to that event. Sensor technology that works indoor and outdoors. Now, most of these, okay, so let me tell you about it. It analyzes a firearm, discharges energy, and it automates the response. And I'm going to tell you right now, the difference between this technology and most of the other technology, it has no microphone. It works off literally a signature of energy. It doesn't listen to you. It's not capable of eavesdropping. We're not going to see lawsuits. We don't have to worry about people saying, everyone's spying on me. And people say, well, what about cameras, Chris? We're going to become a police state. I got bad news for you. Go in the lobby. How many cameras are there? Walk outside the lobby. How many cameras are there? We just drop in a little artificial intelligence. If it sees a gun, sends an alert. If that gun goes off, it sends another alert. And now it tells the police something even more important than a gun is present. It says the gun's in the first row or the second row, or wherever that gun is within a couple meters, and it can do it almost instantaneously. Why? Because 41% of these events start outside somewhere. They start outside, and they're determined. I'll just use Uvalde first. I don't want to invoke that too many times because we have some other things we want to talk about. But we already said it has no open microphone, and it's like a direct notification system to the police that say, hey, drive here. I don't need to go to the big building with the lights on the 10th floor. I can go where it sends me and says the last shot was here. And if the shooter continues to shoot, it continues to update where that shooter is. No more guesswork. If that doesn't say, okay, we got this, it does. And it takes other things. Don't get me wrong, it takes a lot of other things. But this solution is different for all of these reasons when you put them together. Indoor, outdoor, no open microphone, and it works with many other solutions. And I don't get up here and carpetbag and sell things. I'm not selling anything. I'm telling you there is a solution, and there's many of them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The gift of time is -5 minutes. If it takes 5 minutes for a human to call the police, but I just made artificial intelligence do it, I gave you back what? 5 minutes. So what are we going to do together tonight? We're going to start worrying about the other 3 minutes. Those other 3 minutes are crucial. If we can empower our citizens through a standard that says run, hide, fight works, but you have to know where you're going to run. If I'm going to hide under this chair, the only thing that's going to happen tomorrow morning is you have to replace the chair because I got shot through it. Period. No good answer there. And do you really want someone with a crayon or a box of scissors fighting an armed intruder if they're in your family or your loved ones. No. Here's how you get this technology. You go through a company like a global integrator, AMP, gracious enough to host us tonight. Technology, they specialize in it. The communication systems, infrastructure, equipment, cybersecurity. They offer a whole host of solutions because, again, it's not one solution. Oh, we're just going to put this one thing here and Chris says it's going to solve the whole world. It's not. But they are the ones that you go to talk to because you want to plan what you're going to spend. You don't want to go somewhere, because I can tell you right now, you go to a self-serve grocery store and you get self-service. Sometimes you get good stuff, sometimes you're not. You go to a boutique grocery store and they're going to help you shop. What's the best produce? What's the best beef? What's the best chicken? Whatever. This is the same thing. They're giving you the best solution for what you have because they're analyzing all these things. And it can scale up as your budget allows. They're not telling you, here's your bill for $1 million. They're going to say, what's your budget? Let's work within it. Let's get it started. And cost efficient is not always cost effective. We know this, right? Just because McDonald's tastes better doesn't mean it's more healthy than I'm from Texas Whataburger. That's a terrible joke. Please don't laugh. Okay, thank you. You did well. Assembling the pieces. Don't purchase tech for the tech's sake. Sometimes why is much more relevant, all right? And you need to review and identify the strengths and weaknesses. And when you got a salesperson in there, what's the last thing you want to hear from them? Oh, I found everything, and I think we need to start from the carpet to the ceiling and everything in between. You don't want that. You want somebody that understands what these problems are. Because to combat evil, it's something that doesn't exist. Remember augmented reality? We're in the 4th dimension right now, and it's cubed. Bad news for you. 16 degrees of this bad boy problem, and it's not going away. What do we talk about when we talk about the 4 Ps? I'm talking to you as one of these Ps, and we're inside another, and another could visit, and we're counting on another. This is our 4 sides of the cube. I talk to all of us, all 4. What's the first one? The place is where we're at right now. Do they have something installed that's going to notify police to keep me safe? No. But ironically, they have something installed that's going to keep me safe if it catches on fire. What a shocker. Fire code. The people, that's us, our families, the people that we count on, the people that count on us, our employees, constituents, whatever. The perpetrator, pure evil. If we don't take the time to understand them, we will never solve the problem. It takes all 4 sides. And educating the police, I'm on this road show that's brutal right now. Couple speeches a week. And my most prominent audience is police. And when you get in there and say we need to reimagine it for 20, because they tell you all the great things they're going to do. I know I'm retired police. I can tell you everything great that police can do. They can get there and they're going to save you. So I hit them with that coin flip. And I say, okay, put your partner at your home at dinner tomorrow night and have them teach active shooter. Would you pretend that your family's going to be safe with what he taught them? Oh my gosh, Chris, no. We're teaching them what we do when we get there. We already know that's too late. It's over in 8 minutes. So we have a status quo. We need to break it. We need to come up with a new standard. And if we don't come up with public partnerships, community partnerships, and most importantly, police partnerships, because they're going to come. And when they come, you're not going to like what happens. Because it takes police 23 minutes to get to the first victim. And they're not stopping. They're going after the bad guy. And what's something you hear on TV all the time? Oh, there's a second shooter. There's another shooting. There's a fill in the blank. They're going to find those problems so other problems aren't created. We need to figure out how to work on prevention, response, and options. And this model I just came up with one day, didn't mean to call it pro, it just fell out. But it's the prevention side is what you're doing right now. It's what we're doing for our families right now. Response we've been doing for 24 years. We need to fix it, and we need to augment that response by giving them prevention solutions. And we do that by all the options that are available. All right? Who are these active shooters and why? Here's some important things for you. Less than 25% of active shooters have a diagnosed mental disorder. What's the key word there, please? Diagnosed. You don't know you're crazy unless you go to the doctor, right? But I would challenge you and say, okay, good, FBI, I appreciate that report from 2020. But if anybody's going to walk in a room and start shooting, I'm going to have to go with they have a mental disorder. Just saying. Only 1 in 4 have a criminal history. That includes minor traffic infractions. Think about that. They're not on the police radar, but they're somewhere. And 75% plan the attack for well over a week. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't keep a secret more than 3 minutes. My daughter tells me something, and it goes through the whole house, family, the next door, 8 houses and blocks down. Everyone knows my secret. And I'm like, oh, wow, I did that. Multiple stressors over the past year, though. That's who these active shooters are. They have something that's deteriorating in their brain, and it's going wrong. And you know what they want to do? They want to tell you who they are. So if you listen to the media, this is so important. If you take nothing else away from this, take away this. The reason you need automation is because we're looking for somebody's going to walk in with a gun and they have these problems. They're crazy. The police arrest them all the time. They're male. Well, we had 4 active shooters that are females in 24 years. But we've had 2 transgender shooters in 9 months. In other words, it doesn't matter race, color, creed, sex, orientation, religion, nothing. It's just evil touches them. And that's what the face of an active shooter looks like. There is no face. They're everyone that has those types of propensity for violence in their brain, if you will. The FBI tells us that 75% of active shooters tell us that they're going to do something before they do it. And if you don't believe me, let's take a look at social media. The last 10 shootings, the shooter told someone of their intention before they did it, and 5 of them live streamed it as they did it on Instagram, Facebook, or other. This is what happens on the internet right now if you want to go look at it. They will tell you. All you have to do is listen.
Hello. My name is Nick, and I'm going to be a next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can do a good job. Location is Stone Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you will know who I am.
That's evil. And I don't need to tell you where that is or what that is. He told you. But that was on the internet a couple days before it happened. And the police saw it. Now, who's wrong? Police, internet, us, everybody. We're all wrong. We allow it to stay there. Who's coming to save you? The perception is the helicopters are going to land, SWAT's going to jump out, save the day. Because I saw it in a movie yesterday. It's got to be true. The reality is it's just an officer that got a call that's on his way as fast as he can get there. And we know that we don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of training that we have. Okay? So this has been true forever. Let's take a look at what the worst case scenario is. Need I say any more? 376 reasons, all police, that Uvalde lasted an hour and 17 minutes. Whatever I can't explain, I don't know, I'm not going to tell you. I can tell you that I talked to some FBI people that interviewed some officers, and they said, well, gee whiz, Chris, we've never been in a gunfight. We were scared. Okay, well, guess who else wasn't in a gunfight? The 18-year-old kid. We got to get rid of that. That's all there is to it. But if you're in the audience and you're going to tell me, Chris, don't worry, we're doing the greatest things for America. We have guns in schools now. We're going to be all right. Okay, here's 8 reasons that might not be factually accurate, stemming from 2018 all the way to the Covenant Christian School. What's the common theme? There were armed personnel in the school that did nothing. Now, guns did stop some of these, but these 8 all had guns on scene from the get, and none of those guns stopped the problem. What it takes. This is going to be a quick analogy, and I'm probably going to get laughed at, and it's okay. But we're going to go do a quick thing, all right? It takes training that's relevant. It's got to be reliable equipment, and it's got to be ability and realistic. So how do you explain this slide? We've spent over $1 billion as a country on equipment. It's not helping us get anywhere faster. And when we do get there faster, we might stand in a hallway with 376 of our friends not doing anything. So one day my wife comes to me last night and she says, you know what, Chris? And I stole this from somebody in this room. My wife says, I want to be an inside linebacker in the NFL tomorrow. She weighs 150 pounds. So being married 30 million years, I look at her and I'm still married 30 years, so I know how to lie great. And I just say, you're going to be the best inside linebacker I've ever seen in the world. And she says, all I need to do is learn how to play football. Well, yeah, no problem. We'll get that. We watch it every Sunday morning. You know the rules. We've got to gain a couple hundred pounds, but we're going to be all right. Why don't we start with equipment? Because that's our philosophy right now. We start with equipment. What's the equipment doing? We go to Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever. We outfit her, and what do I tell her being a good husband? Oh my gosh, you look so great. Police officer on SWAT in the helicopter, you look so great. You're ready to go. So I put her on the line, the first play, she gets mowed over. What happened? She had the desire, just like those police had the desire to help. They just didn't have the ability. No one told them it's going to be real. Got to automate that process to get that brain focusing faster. The Pro model is going to do it for you. We look at the prevention side first. Warning signs exist, assessments, physical security, technology and training. How do you get this? You search, and you search high and low. And you figure out a good answer. Pro model for response. When prevention fails, that means it's too late. It started going wrong. What does my family know? Does it know all those things called run, hide, fight, shelter in place, lockdown? Do they have a survival mindset? I can tell you my family does. I'm not sure about yours, but are they ready to react? My family is not. Probably pretty sure yours probably won't be either. The Pro model says options. So we put 500 years together, put it on the table, and formed this semicircle through expert recommendations. And we're all in through real-world solutions. And here's what it takes right there. We have one goal. What do you think that goal is? Fire Chris Grollnek from this stage. I don't want to ever speak again. Make these stop. It's up to you. It's not up to me. I can give you the tools, but it's up to you to implement them through your family, friends, focus group, churches. This is Covenant High School. Remember I told you about gun detection? She was in the parking lot for 2 minutes and 46 seconds with 2 rifles walking around with cameras everywhere. Had that been picked up, there's your 3 minutes that you have. She wasted 3 minutes for you. 5 minutes we shaved off, police could have been there instantly. We have to solve the problem because if March 27, 2023 is too recent. But here's the bad news, and you know what, it's not even bad news, it's just realistic. We all need to look in the mirror. There is no magic pill, but there's magic solutions that aren't magic. They just take will, determination, and the horsepower of the brain. We remove the guesswork. That's how Eagle does it. Because it knows that the notification needs to go to the police, not to you. No offense. You need a notification, yes. But is it going to help you get your gun out and go somewhere that's a restricted area? Probably not. And if we know that if 41% start in the parking lot where a gunshot actually breaks off, that technology notifies not only is there a gun present, I apologize, not only is there a gun present, but there's a gunshot present. So what's a phenomena that we're dealing with as a country right now? It's called swatting. We're disrupting parents' lives. You're making my life miserable. You're making your life miserable. It's a swatting is when a robocall comes into 911 and says, a shooting's happening at the Hilton Hotel right now, and it's about to rain police. And we're all going to be traumatized because we don't know there's a shooting, because there is no shooting. Wouldn't it be nice if we can solve that problem right now by saying there's no gun present and no gunshot went off? Oh my gosh, we just solved the swatting problem. No more trauma. We're all shaking our heads yes. And you know why? I'm not selling you anything. I'm telling you the truth. Here's what it looks like in motion. This is like a 30-second video. It won't take but a second. Uh-oh, child's coming to school. Dramatization, not real. Teacher's in her classroom. Gun detection shows up. There's a gun in the hallway. Is it a real alert? Human notification comes. Cell phone, watches, alert centers, tablets, televisions. This thing's called the windshield. It's ballistic. You can't even blow it up to get in. I know if my child's in school, I want him behind that. Keep teaching school. No need to interrupt. Lock it in place. No one's getting in. Last one. Where's this shooting at? Who's this evildoer right here? Anybody know who that was right there at the very end? Michigan State. Happened pretty recently. He was in the parking lot 4 minutes walking around with a gun out. In fact, a student held the door open for him because the gun was at its side, and they go, that looks like a gun, but there's no way. Come on in. And they opened the door that was buzz-proof. So I never realized we need to remind people to lock doors and don't let people follow us in, but here I am. Remind your family. Lock doors. I have a question for you. The current plan that's in place, is it going to work right now if I said go home and test it? The answer is no. I'm going to tell you right now it's no. Unless you have some of these technologies, all of the technologies, the answer is no. We need so much other stuff. But how do we get there? How do we get to never hear? You say, Chris, it's impossible. Well, I gave you a hint earlier. What's been 68 years, really quick? It's been 68 years since we allowed a child to die in a school fire. Why? Because we did something about it. We created stop, drop, and roll. And if you catch on fire and you ask a child, what do you do if you catch on fire? Ask your 3, 4, 5-year-old, what are they going to tell you? Stop, drop, and roll. And what does stop, drop, and roll do for you? It extinguishes the fire. Well, if I start shooting at you and say, go ahead, run, hide, fight, what's it going to do? Nothing. It's only going to do the ability that you're capable of. And remember, it's got to be realistic and it's got to be reality, factually accurate. If you can't run or if you can't hide and you don't want to fight, we want to avoid that. We need to find a better way to do it. And we're going to draw a parallel. Smoke detectors tell you smoke's present. Fire alarms or sprinklers tell you where the fire is coming from and tells who? Those people in the big red trucks we like so much, right? Firefighters, fire inspectors, arson investigators, fire code, fire investigators. You name it, we've got it. Fire plans, fire marshals. I am not saying we need active shooter trucks and all that other. What I'm saying is it would take about 1/10 of the investment that it takes to make something fire code, to make it as active shooter resistant as it is fire resistant. About 1/10. Think about that. What's not worth that investment? We're not burning up kids, but we're letting them get killed in school shootings. Well, it's been now 45 minutes. Eagle and AMP have the solutions, and it's just time. I'm not selling you anything. I told you that factually. I'm telling you, it's just time. And if we don't take the time to make time, we're going to keep coming back. And I'm going to ask you this last question to ask yourself. If you think any of this is expensive, somebody read this for me. Out loud. Let that sink in. Think about it. What is your, we all know about return on investment. We all have smart financial decisions. What's your return on regret? How do you look someone in the eye and say, I'm sorry, I tried. I'm going to tell you very personally, I've had 3 registered saves with the Pro model in the last 2 years at Fortune 10 companies. I speak to everyone. 3 registered saves. That is not, hey, come pat my back, I feel good. What that means is I know it works. Some had technology and some didn't. The moral of the story is, if we don't get better, we're not going to get better. And you need not remember anything else but the most committed wins. That's good old Chris Grollnek telling you, guys standing up here in front of you. Fight me for it, it's okay. You'll win. But you'll win because you're committed. The end. If you have questions, you can see anyone in the back. Charlie's the one that introduced me so graciously. Jennifer Russell is from Eagle, and Alan Poe is from AMP. Any one of them will be happy to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. I'll talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. I'll talk to you about sports, which I'd much rather talk to you about. But the moral of the story is, I can't help you if you don't help me. Follow me on any of these programs. I don't sell data. I don't register websites. I don't keep your mailing list. And I definitely don't repost that we just had this at the Hilton and you attended, because we're not going to have somebody knock on the door and say, hey, does this thing work? We don't need that in our lives, right? We're trying to solve problems, not add to them. We're subtracting, not adding. Before I let go, I'm going to ask you, because I love talking to people, and I know you can see I'm this much passionate about this. So I'm going to ask you, please ask me a question, any question about this topic, and I'll get you up here, sir, in 1 second. But please, ask me a question about the topic. something that works, something that doesn't, something that's in your mind, because I'll ask you some hard questions and you don't want my questions. So please ask me a question. Anyone, don't be bashful. I'll buy you a free drink.
Does it work
Thank you.
if the suspect,
Another Christmas
or
present.
perpetrator comes through?
Thank you, sir.
Does it detect if the weapon is concealed?
Thank you so much. The question is, if a perpetrator shows up with a weapon concealed, will it show up in a notification system? This technology today? No. Is there technology that does it? Yes. Is it commercially available? No. And if it was, I'd be the first one up here saying, you need microwave technology to not cook hot dogs, but to find guns on people's hips. Problem is, I live in Texas, everyone's got a gun. So you need to find what they call an SOV, signature of violence. How do you find a signature of violence? It's the way people walk, the way people act, the way they gather, when they're going to start fighting with each other, when they're going to come up with a knife or a gun. And that technology exists, but we have to figure out a way to put it together that makes sense. Because I'll tell you right now, my daughter, funny. I used to be an undercover narcotics detective for like 3 years. So God's little joke on me is my daughter works in Colorado. Any guesses what she does? Yeah, okay, we can all laugh. She sells weed, great. But she's safe doing it because I volunteer my time up there and make sure they know how to be safe. But I'm not everyone's father. And now that you know, you need to go home and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should look at some new videos. We have video, Chuck and I have a video on the website. This one right here, you just click it. It's free. I'm not selling you anything. When I told you I'm not selling you, I meant it. Money where my mouth is. Go to resources. It's free. It's a conversation between Chuck and I that just talks to you. There's other resources on there from the FBI, Department of Homeland Security. When I was involved in active shooter in 2010, something in my brain changed, and I can't tell you what. I've survived cancer since then, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's a reason I survived, and it's here to be with you. I want to say thank you so much. I have another guest speaker that's going to come up for a minute and share. Please, sir. And I want to say thank you for your attention. I look forward to talking to you after, and thank you so much.
Hey, folks. I will be brief. And thank you, Chris. Thank you to Eagle. Thank you to AMP. Thank you, Congressman. And thank you all for being here. Really important conversations that we're going to continue to have tonight. My name is Bobby Cunningham. I'm a Director of Government Affairs at the Vogel Group, bipartisan lobbying firm. And we have been working with Max Schachter, whose son Alex was tragically murdered at the Parkland shooting, which we witnessed earlier today. To date, there is no all-encompassing coalition focused on school safety, advocating for policies that we can pass and we can change this year. That is why we've launched the School Safety Policy Center. Look forward to talking with you all about the details and sort of what we're involved in on that. We're guided by a few fundamental basic principles. One is that school safety needs to be a year-round issue. We're also here to take the guns out of this debate. That's also an important conversation, but we're focused on tangible bipartisan solutions that can bring people together, not polarize people. We are here to bring together folks like Eagle, folks like Max, educators, administrators, and school-based mental health professionals, bringing together all these important parts of the solution to advocate for legislation that can pass with bipartisan support here on Capitol Hill. So that's what I have for you here right now. Really look forward to talking with you all. Please, yes.
So you say legislation with bipartisan support. I mean, right, this is a very important form of security for schools, for any building or area you want to secure. I know the pews, so I've seen this before. Has it been, and I know there's at least one school district, that happens to be my district, that it's been presented to, and I believe they move forward with it. But what's being done to market it / raise the awareness, Pennsylvania, for instance, we have 500 school districts with multiple schools, grade schools, high schools. What is this presentation being made to, because that's where most of the education funding comes from, on the state side. Is that taking place?
Yep, so fantastic question. And one piece of legislation that I will point.
Could you repeat the question for us, please? I apologize.
Yep. So the question from the congressman was, you know, what's being done to educate, to get this out into all the schools. So I think what I'd point to is the Luke and Alex School Safety Act, and that was enacted as part of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. What that did was codify into law schoolsafety.gov, which is the U.S. Secret Service's National Threat Assessment Center. That website, schoolsafety.gov, very important, a resource that is available, but something that these groups are working to educate. And I just want to correct myself. That's actually a Department of Homeland Security website. But National Threat Assessment Center, another piece of legislation that we're focused on, Eagles Act, sponsored by Mario Diaz-Balart and Jared Moskowitz from Parkland. And so there are bipartisan solutions out there. There's an existing schoolsafety.gov website that, you know, we're working to educate the administrators, the schools, to put forth these resources and to utilize what is there.
The Eagles Act named after this.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Eagles.
Okay. Certainly speak of them tomorrow. Has there been any testifying with the Ed and Labor committees in the House and the Senate?
Yes, so that is also something that we are hoping to work on this year, particularly with the Eagles Act. Max did testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee in the previous Congress, but as part of this School Safety Policy Center, that's really our goal, is to try to elevate all these great actors, these great companies, folks that are doing the hardware, the software, folks like Eagle Technology, and getting them in front of you and your colleagues to talk about these issues and continue to raise what can be done and what is being done, and trying to scale that.
You know, Commissioner McClinko, if you want to add anything, you evaluated it for your school district with your county.
Well, we brought down today our chief of police in our largest borough, and he's also our SWAT commander. Oh, down there. And a superintendent of Sarah School District, which is in our largest borough. And I got to be honest with you, I'm sitting here going through my mind thinking of all the stuff we have not done. And we came here today, at least I did, because doing nothing is terrible. You know, our county is we're blessed. We're in the natural gas area. We have money to do something, and I told my other two commissioners that we have got to work with our schools. I think this is terrific. I think it could be a foundation to build out from. You know, we talked about on the way down today, we're talking with the chief, SROs in the schools. That it really doesn't solve anything other than, you know, having a gun there, right? But he's telling me they're paying $15 an hour. You know, is that what you told me? For some of the schools. Not the chief. Not Sarah. But neighbor. I don't think that's clear. But as commissioners, I could not live with myself if something happened and we got millions of dollars in the bank in Bradford County. Dan just isn't my congressman, he's a dear friend. So I want to take from here, I want to talk to you guys, because we support the SWAT team that we have. These guys are tough and they're brave, and I can't wait to hear what the chief has and he's going to walk away from here today. So I've spoken up, and I can't wait to talk to you, Dan, and to Alan from Ann and Brenda. You know, they do all of our technology for our 911. We're focused. We spent millions of dollars on safety in our county, and we haven't done anything for us. It's just time. So thanks, Dan, for, I hope I answered your question.
Well, let's come full circle. Again, thank you everyone for coming here tonight. Let's keep this really short and get the heck out of here. Right now, if there was a gunshot out inside that room, someone in this room would stand up and run through that door, and they would be the next victim. Sandy Hook. The fourth individual killed there was the principal. The fifth was the assistant principal. Why? Because they're people and we're curious. We run through doors to find out what that bang was. This is artificial intelligence. It saves time, it brings that time together, and that individual doesn't have to run through that door to find out what it is. We know where the assailant is, we know what's going on with that assailant, we're bringing the pieces together. Today is D-Day. It's the difference that we make today that we're going to change the world. Let's do it. We're going to have some information. It's going to be on Chris's website. Everybody has information. Thank you all. Now, let's have some time.